The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara. It is Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, we're going to learn all about careers as usual. If you have any questions, you can contact me on Facebook, Let's Talk Careers with Sara. If you are new and you are listening to this the first time, then you are in the right place if you are looking to advance yourself in your career. If you have any questions regarding your resume, if you have questions regarding your career, if you are stuck and you are looking to unstuck, then you are at the right place. You can listen to my show and the previous shows recordings that I have on my page, Let's Talk Careers with Sara on Facebook. And if you don't have Facebook, I still didn't forget you, but if you don't have Facebook, you can email me, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, and email your questions. I have a Facebook group completely free to all my listeners. No matter where you are, what country you live in, what state you live in, I have a group called Let's Talk Careers Inner Circle that is on Facebook as well. So, today I have a fantastic news that I want to share with you. Today I'm going to talk about mindsets. There are two types of mindsets. One is called fixed mindset and another one is called growth mindset. If you are feeling kind of not sure what mindset you are in, because you hear a lot of things, a lot of times I hear people say change your mindset and you have a different mindset, but they don't really know what it means. So now I have a lot of information about two different types of mindset. One is a fixed mindset and one is a growth mindset. Now, there are many reasons why it can be hard to stick to good habits or develop new skills. But more often than not, the biggest challenge is sitting between your two ears. Your mind is a powerful thing. The stories you tell yourself and the things you believe about yourself can either prevent change from happening or allow new skills to blossom. Now, recently I've been learning more about the link between our beliefs and our behaviors. And if you are interested in actually sticking to your goals, building better habits, and reaching a higher level of achievement, then you will love the research and ideas that I'm going to share with you today. So let's get to it. How your beliefs can help you or hurt you. There is a website called Carol Dweck. Now, he is a researcher at Stanford University, and he is well known. She's well known for her work on the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. So here's how Dweck describes the difference between these two mindsets and how they impact your performance. In a fixed mindset, students believe their basic abilities, their intelligence, their talents are just fixed rates. They have a certain amount and that's that. And then their goal becomes to look smart all the time and never look dumb. In a growth mindset, students understand that their talents and abilities can be developed through effort, good teaching, and persistence. They don't necessarily think everyone's the same or anyone can be Einstein, but they believe everyone can get smarter if they work at it. The benefits of a growth mindset might seem obvious, but most of us are guilty of having a fixed mindset in certain situations. Do you agree? That can be dangerous because a fixed mindset can often prevent important skill development and growth, which could sabotage your health and happiness down the line. For example, if you say, "I'm not a math person," then that belief acts as an easy excuse to avoid practicing math. The fixed mindset prevents you from failing in the short run, but in the long run, it hinders your ability to learn, grow, and develop new skills. Meanwhile, someone with growth mindset would be willing to try math problems even if they failed at first. They see failure and setbacks as an indication that they should continue developing their skills rather than a signal that indicates this is something I'm not good at. Now, as a result, people who have a growth mindset are more likely to maximize their potential. They tend to learn from criticism rather than ignoring it, to overcome challenges rather than avoiding them, and to find inspiration in the success of others rather than feeling threatened. Now, my question is, are your beliefs holding you back? Because according to Dweck's research raises an important question about the connection between what you believe and what you do. If you believe things about yourself like it's hard for me to lose weight, I'm not good with numbers, I'm not a natural athlete, I'm not creative, I'm a procrastinator, it's pretty clear that those fixed mindsets will cause you to avoid experiences where you might feel like a failure. As a result, you don't learn as much and it's hard to get better. What can you do about this? How can you change the things you believe about yourself? Eliminate your fixed mindsets and actually achieve your goals. Have your actions change your beliefs? Now, in my experience, the only way I know to change the type of person that you believe that you are, to build a new and better identity for yourself, is to do so with small, repeated actions. Here's an example. Leah Culver started running 1 year ago. This is how she describes the process. I started running a year ago. I didn't entirely start from scratch. In the past, I had jogged every once in a while, maybe once a month. My first run was just 2 miles at 12 minutes per mile. That's pretty slow. However, for a non-athlete, I felt fairly good about it. I jogged a couple of more times that week. And after a couple of weeks of regular jogging, I set a goal for myself. I knew I would never be fast enough to impress anybody, so it didn't make sense to make speed my goal. I could have picked a race to train for a 5K or half-miler, but I knew how those ended. Everyone seems to quit running right after their big race. I wanted to do something different. I wanted not to quit. Everyone seems to quit running right after their big race. I wanted to do something different. I wanted not to quit. That's very powerful. My goal involved not going too long between runs. If I skipped more than a couple of days, wouldn't that be quitting? So I started running 4 and 5 days a week. The longest I went between runs was 3 days when I was in Hawaii for a vacation. My goal made all the difference. I was still slow, but I could at least feel good that I was running a lot. I'd have good days when I would run fast and feel great, but I also had lots of bad days where I was tired and just didn't feel like running. In retrospect, those days were almost better than the good days because they reinforced my goal. I didn't quit. I ran my first 5K on Halloween. Nearly 5 months later, I had taken up running as a hobby. I wore a costume, furry wings, and tried to keep up with a random guy with an owl on his head. I finished in 28 minutes and was super happy. I learned that racing wasn't always about being the fastest, but doing my personal best. I signed up to run a full marathon in December. hired a running coach, and set a regular running schedule. I've started to think for myself as a runner. If you would have told me a year ago that I would be working out almost every day and running 100 miles a month, I would never have believed you. Running really snuck up on me. I had modest aspirations and didn't really care if I was great at running. I just wanted to stick to my one goal: don't quit. Now, this is what she says. My question is to you, did Leah start by thinking about how much weight she wanted to lose? No. Did she start by thinking about how fast she wanted to run? No. Did she start by thinking about the marathon she wanted to complete? No. She didn't start by thinking about the results. She simply focused on the process. She focused on showing up. She focused on sticking to the schedule. She focused on not quitting. Eventually, the results and the self-confidence came anyway. Her actions shifted the way that she saw herself. I've started to think myself as a runner. That's what she says. The best musicians practice every day. The best athletes practice every day. The best writers practice every day. These are people who have a high average speed. Yes, their results are fantastic and they get to enjoy the fruits of their labor, but it's not the results that set them apart. It's a dedication to daily practice. It's the fact that their identity is centered on being the type of person who does their craft each day. This is a process of identity-based habits that explains what actually a mindset is. People with a growth mindset focus on the process of building a better identity rather than the product. Now, so often we overestimate the importance of a single event, like a marathon, right? And underestimate the importance of making better choices on a daily basis, like running 5 days per week. We think that getting that job or being featured in that media outlet or losing those 30 pounds will transform us into the person we want to become. We fall victims to a fixed mindset and think that we are defined by the result. Now, here is the truth. It's your daily actions that will change what you believe about yourself and the person you become. It's about setting a schedule, showing up, and sticking to it. It's about focusing on building the right identity rather than worrying about getting the right result. In my experience, identity-based habits tie in directly with the research from Dweck and her contemporaries. When you let the results define you, your talent, your test scores, your weight, your job, your performance, your appearance, you become the victim of a fixed mindset. But when you dedicate yourself to showing up each day and focusing on the habits that form a better identity, that's when you learn and develop. That's what a growth mindset looks like in the real world. What you should do now that you know what a fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is. In case I haven't made it clear enough already, skill is something you can cultivate, not merely something you are born with. You can become more creative, more intelligent, more athletic, more artistic, and more successful by focusing on the process, not the outcome. Instead of worrying about winning the championship, commit to the process of training like a champion. Instead of worrying about writing a best-selling book, commit to the process of publishing your ideas on a consistent basis. Instead of worrying about getting six-pack abs, commit to the process of eating healthy each day. It's not about the result. It's about building the identity of the type of person who gets to enjoy those results. So how do I tie it to careers? A fixed mindset of an employee is someone says, I am comfortable where I am. I am a manager and I earn a decent amount of salary and I get benefits and the hours are okay. I am comfortable. And when you ask that person, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? he probably would say, I am already working in the same location for 5 to 10 years already. Right? That's called a fixed mindset. He doesn't or she doesn't believe in the growth mindset, that you actually can grow your potential and become a little bit more outstanding than what you are actually doing. If you are not a manager, then your potential should be do whatever it takes to be a manager. If you are a manager, then your potential should be you have to do whatever it takes to be a director. If you are a director, then your potential is to do whatever it takes to be a region manager, a state manager, or even a vice president. This is a potential. This is the growth mindset. You constantly have to challenge yourself and think, what am I going to do? What skills do I need to acquire in order to go to my next level career? Stay tuned where I'm going to take a short break. At the end of the show, when you are going to listen till the end of the show, you will get a chance to be featured on my show one of the Wednesdays, and you will get the recording as well. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. You are tuning in to Let's Talk Careers with Sara. I'm aired every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. In this show, I talk about career advancement, resume revamps, interview expectations, how to stand out from the crowd, how to brand yourself, and skills you need to become a CEO. All of this is on Armed Radio Global on my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, exclusively on TuneIn Satellite and the Armed Radio Global networks. So, I'm back now, and we are going to learn more about mindset, growth mindset, and fixed mindset. And mindset is applied to everyone. It doesn't matter what you are, whether you are a student, whether you are whether you are an employee, an employer, it doesn't matter. Now, I want to emphasize, fixed mindset is something that is called failure is the limit of my abilities. This is something a voice that tells you. Or you say, I'm either good at it or I'm not. My abilities are unchanging. I don't like to be challenged. Or you say, I can either do it or I can't. Or you can say, my potential is predetermined. When I am frustrated, I give up. That's a fixed mindset. Feedback and criticism are personal. I stick to what I know, and that's it. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is something that someone says, failure is an opportunity to grow. I can learn to do anything I want. Challenges help me grow. My effort and attitude determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive. I am inspired by the success of others. I like to try new things. This is something that a growth mindset sounds like. Now let's focus on how to develop a growth mindset, right? How to get out of the fixed mindset and grow the growth mindset. So number 1 is acknowledge and embrace your weaknesses. Maybe you know that you are lazy and tend to put things off until the last minute. Try to plan around that by making modest goals and giving yourself a reasonable amount of time to accomplish them. Then view challenges as opportunities. That's the second step. We are constantly faced with important decisions, such as whether to accept a new job or sign up a new class. Taking on these challenges is a big part of developing as a person. The more we challenge ourselves, the more opportunities we have to learn about ourselves. New challenges equal new opportunities. Embarking on a new challenge may be frightening due to the risk of failure. This may result in avoiding various challenges and continuing down the usual path, holding on to excuses that we tell ourselves so we can remain in our comfort zones. The truth is, staying in your comfort zone because you are scared to venture out can become uncomfortable. If you avoid challenges, you will not be provided with opportunities to learn and grow. Instead, you will be troubled by the sense that things are not just right. The third thing is know your learning style and use the right learning strategies. If you are able to identify the best ways that you learn, you can optimize your time while researching or attending classes. Various learning styles can work together for people who have a growth mindset, and learning styles allow students to blend and combine their own bits of intelligence into many different patterns. Learning styles relate to different learning approaches that students find to be the most effective for them. So once these are identified, people can feel that their knowledge is expanded and they are getting better at what they're studying. The fourth step would be remember that brain has the ability to change throughout life. Your brain forms new connections throughout life that allow it to make adjustments when you are faced with new situations or a new environment. Neuroplasticity explains how your brain can be retrained and organized, showing that there is always room to grow. If you are aware that your brain is constantly changing, then you are more likely to adopt a growth mindset. Remember that if the brain is not fixed, then the mind should not be fixed either. Remember that the brain has the ability to change throughout life. The fifth step is prioritize learning over seeking approval. When you are more concerned about getting approval from other people than about learning new things, you are giving up your own potential to grow. Don't worry about what other people think about you, and instead focus on bettering yourself for your own benefit. The sixth is focus on the process instead of the end result. People who have a growth mindset are often very in tune with their intelligence and willingness to learn. They understand that any growth is going to be a process and make their own process goals to help them reach the end of the process. It is important to enjoy the learning process so you are able to get the most out of it and be open to the process continuing beyond the expected time frame. One of the most important things about the process of learning is the unexpected lessons that you may pick up along the way. The seventh process or step, as you can say, is students with a growth mindset are able to look at long-term goals and have a larger sense of purpose for their lives. Keep the end goal in mind and always look at the big pictures. Ask yourself on a regular basis what the purpose is of the work that you are doing. Are you doing it because you enjoy it? Or is it part of a bigger goal? Always work with a purpose so you have the motivation to keep working. The eighth step is choose learning well over learning fast. This goes back to focusing on the process of learning instead of the end result. Learning isn't something that you can rush. You have to go through some mistakes in order to truly find success, and none of that will come easy or quickly. Number 9 is reward effort and actions, not traits. Let other people know when they are doing something creative or especially smart rather than just telling them that they are smart in general. This helps people strive to continue to do smart things rather than make them feel like they have already accomplished the end goal of being smart. And number 10 is learn to give and receive constructive criticism. Think of criticism as a way to learn. If you have an area of weakness and someone is able to point that out to you, Think of it as a gift that makes you aware of your faults so you can focus on them to improve. This we hear all the time when you're at work. For example, you have a manager who constantly criticizes you, who gives you constructive criticism. It's not something to put you down, but something to better you. That it's not only makes him look good, but it's also going to make you look good. And that way, when you follow the advice that he gives, then you are growing your mindset and potentially your position. And it is important to not take constructive criticism personally. Often people are trying to help and are therefore doing you a favor rather than trying to cut you down. If you want to enhance your growth mindset, learn to give and receive constructive criticism. Think of criticism as a way to learn. Number 11 is need for improvement. Does not mean failure. Just because you need to improve in one area does not mean you have failed. It means that you are on the right track. You are just not quite there yet. Number 12 is reflect on your learning every day. Make sure to absorb everything you learn through the day, whether this means writing down the main points at the end of the day or doing a little bit more research on a topic that held your interest the most that day. Don't let your lessons from the day just float away. Write it down in the bullet journal or make some other forms of permanent record, and at minimum sit with the idea of what you learned for a while and allow all the lessons to sink in. Number 13, learn from the mistakes of others. You don't always want to compare yourself to other people, but it is important to see that other people have the same weaknesses as you. When you see someone make a mistake and recognize how it should have been done correctly, keep that in mind for the future. When you are in their situation, you can even put yourself in their shoes for the moment and pretend that it was you making the mistake and try to learn from it firsthand. 14. Think of learning as brain training. The more you learn, the more you are training your brain to act a certain way and make various connections. You want to train your brain as best as you can, which equates to continuing to learn throughout life. All your brain will have to be trained and retained as the world evolves and things change, so it is vital to be open to the idea of manipulating your brain to keep up with current trends. Cultivating grit. You want to have a passion for what you are doing so you can have the perseverance to see it through. Having a deep interest in your work is one of the most important things to keep you motivated each day and to keep you wanting to be successful in your field. In order to accomplish your long-term goals, you have to have the grit to keep you motivated and on track. Number 16, never stop learning. Set a new goal for every one you accomplished. You will never be completely finished learning. Just because you have finished one class or one project does not mean that you should abandon the subject. Growth mindset people are able to continue, create a new goal, so they stay motivated and interested in the subjects that they choose to study. Learning is never finished, as there is always another goal to reach or more research to be done. Growth mindset people are able to continue to create new goals, so they stay motivated and interested in the subject that they choose to study. Number 17, remember that it takes time to learn. Nothing worth doing comes quickly and easily. You have to be realistic about the time it will take for you to learn the information that you are interested in to the point of your satisfaction. It may take several different methods of learning or several times of applying a new technique until it really sticks and you are able to master it. Additionally, because things are constantly changing, this means that the learning process may never truly be over. Now, my question is, are you ready to grow? In order to develop a growth mindset, you have to be willing and committed to changing your beliefs about what you are able to do. You cannot stay wrapped up in the idea that you were born with all of your talents and abilities and have no room to grow. You also have to take the appropriate actions to learn and stay motivated by looking at the big picture of why you have chosen to study what you have and how it will benefit you in the long run. By figuring out the best ways that you learn, you can combine these learning tactics to provide yourself with the most lasting and effective lessons that will help you achieve more success throughout your life. And how do you feel about the fixed mindset versus growth mindset debate? If you believe intelligence is limited to what you were born with, I hope that listening to my show right now give you enough pause to at least test drive a growth mindset and see how it fits you. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset can be a big deal with trying to learn after all. Now, I would really appreciate if you can comment in my Facebook page and let me know your thoughts on both styles of mindset. Do you have any personal experience to share with others? You can email me on letstalkcareerswithsara@gmail.com. Now, if you have any personal experience, so just share it with others and help people come to their own decisions vis-a-vis fixed mindset and growth mindset. And if you enjoyed my show right now, tell your friends to listen to my show and let me know on social media channels what exactly you liked, and that way I will just know what else you want me to talk about in my next show. So we'll take a short break and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are tuning in to Let's Talk Careers with Sara. I'm aired every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. In this show, I talk about career advancement, resume revamps, interview expectations, how to stand out from the crowd, how to brand yourself, and skills you need to become a CEO. All of this is on Armed Radio on my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, exclusively on TuneIn Satellite and the Armed Radio Network.
So we are back. Today I'm talking about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. I hope that so far you are with me, listening to me, and you understand what the difference is, and you're probably going to start implementing it the next day. And it's very important in order for you to achieve any satisfaction from your career growth. I have people really seen, and it's so saddening to see people who are in the fixed mindset and think that they are advancing themselves in their careers, and it's actually not exactly what is all about. I found a video that is a 5-minute video, and it talks about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and it's from Sprouts.
There are two types of mindset we can cultivate. One that embraces problems as opportunities to learn, and one that avoids them, often out of fear to fail. People that avoid conflicts can be described as having a fixed mindset. Those who see problems as interesting challenges have a growth mindset. Sometimes we like to switch from one to the other. People have a fixed mindset because they believe that basic qualities like intelligence or talents are fixed traits, and that these traits are responsible for success. They often like to document past achievements. With a growth mindset, people believe that new abilities can be developed through practice. This view creates the love for learning that most great leaders and artists have in common. For them, life becomes an exciting journey with endless opportunity to figure out new things and advance. To develop a growth mindset, Dr. Carol Dweck, the Stanford University professor who coined the term, advises leaders, teachers, and parents to celebrate trying. Teachers should applaud students for any grade if they studied hard. Parents should encourage their children to develop any new skill they are interested in. Doing this will make them learn the skill of learning, which will also help them back in the classroom. To illustrate the difference in everyday life, let's observe two imaginary kids. Jay thinks you've either got it or you haven't. Anne knows that she can learn anything if she wants it enough. At physical exercise, Jay avoids challenges. When it's time to jump over the vaulting horse, he's afraid to look stupid and be laughed at. Anne embraces any challenge. It's exciting. It's fun. She knows that failing is part of learning, and if she tries hard, at the end, nobody will laugh at her. Jay avoids feedback. If the teacher tells him how to improve an assignment he has been working on, he takes it personally. Anne knows that to improve, she needs to listen to constructive criticism. She also understands that it's not her that is being assessed, but the results of her work on that one day. Jay always takes the easy road. For example, he likes escalators and hates to take the stairs. When he is practicing the guitar, he stops the moment he's getting stuck. Anne usually doesn't even take escalators. She jumps up the stairs, counts every step in her head, and enjoys feeling the blood rushing through her veins. She practices the drums every morning for 15 minutes. Not that she always enjoys it, but she knows that effort is part of a journey to a more fun life. Anne likes to see others succeed. It inspires her. She knows that if she motivates her friends to get better, she herself is likely to grow too. If his friends try new things and succeed, Jay feels threatened. He's afraid that their success will put pressure on him to do more with his life too. Modern companies look for employees with a growth mindset because they solve problems and persist despite obstacles. To spot the right ones, some ask during the interview whether the job applicant believes if managers are born or if management is a skill learned. Jay thinks that managers are born. Anne gets the job. Neuroscientists support the idea. They confirm that the brain grows like any other muscle in the body, with training. Studies show that adopted twins tend to have higher intelligence compared to their siblings who stayed with their biological parents. The difference appears to come from the higher educational levels of adoptive parents and shows that nurture is more important than nature. A simple switch in how a person views a situation can mean the world of difference. Not just the outcome of that situation, the outcome of that person's place in life. As the late poet Samuel Beckett once said, "Ever tried? Ever failed? No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better." What do you think about the concept? Is it overly simplistic? And if you buy the idea, do you believe it is possible to make a permanent switch from a fixed to a growth mindset? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below.
So this is just a video that I just played on YouTube, and this is something that explains in a very simple language. So this video is really something that I think it's very powerful to understand the difference between growth and fixed. I will tell you a story that even you perhaps know someone in your family or in your community of friends that are working in a job that been there, like for example, they work in a job for many years, let's say 10, 20 years, doing the same thing. Maybe they get a salary that is being raised 50 cents every 5 years. And they are comfortable. They think, this is what I've been doing all my life. This is what I know. I don't know anything else. This is something that I am comfortable with. I have a job. I have a set paycheck. I know what to expect. But lo and behold, when you are sick, not every company pays enough vacation time. So when you are sick, when you need to go on vacation, when you need to go and advance yourself, you just say, no, I am comfortable. And in New York, there are lots of buildings, apartment buildings. And when you live in an apartment building, you are basically being in a mindset that I'm comfortable. I'm in an apartment. And it just sounds like something that is, you have to be grateful, you have a roof over your head. I've seen a family that is constantly looking for government assistance for housing, government assistance for food, like food stamps. And that family has been on it for 17, 18 years. And now they are in disabilities. So they get funded for disabilities. With that kind of mindset, that family is not happy. That family thinks this is just a way to live in general. This is just a way to live. You don't need to work. You get all this government help. And there are many families like that. They feel that this is okay, this is comfortable. No need to advance yourself in your life. No need to grow. You are at the age of 60, 65. No need to grow. You just feel comfortable this way. And on the other hand, if we look for example, many examples I know, but let's look for an example of Grant Cardone. For those who know Grant Cardone, you probably know his story. He was 57 years old when he became a millionaire. 57 years old. When he graduated, when he was young, he graduated college like everybody else. He had a degree because his mom told him go to college. He had a degree. He graduated for accounting. He has a bachelor's degree for accounting. Now he is probably 22 years old. He graduated and now he is looking for a job. He is looking for a job. He didn't have a career coach. He didn't have anyone to help him but his uncle. So he was looking for a job and nobody wanted to hire fresh from college. Everyone wants someone with experience, and he had no experience. So his uncle said, go and work as a salesman. And he said, I didn't go to college to be a salesman. So he already had a fixed mindset at this point. He said, I didn't go to college to be a salesman. I have a degree in accounting. I'm assuming I need to get a job in accounting. And his uncle said, well, you didn't go to college to get broke. You need to go and earn money. So he went to do salesman. That's the only job you could get. And I'm sure you can all familiarize with yourselves, because to be in sales, you don't need experience much. You're just going to be trained. So he went to be a salesman, and he hated the job. And he says, you hate the job because you don't know what to do. You're not being trained enough. You don't have the tools that you need. And all of the other salespeople that have experience were really closing sales, and he wasn't. So he hated the job until one of the salesmen that he was working with, his colleague, said, let me train you. Let me help you. I'll give you the tools that you need. Once he was trained, he was able to close deals. And at that point, he stayed a salesman until today. So he still had a fixed mindset. And then he started growing. Once he was willing to learn new skill, that is sales, not accounting, new skills, he was growing endlessly. He saw that this profession was actually serving him well, and he was growing. And he was at age 57. He opened up his first company. He started writing books. He started really advancing himself. This is something that I am very inspired and everybody should be inspired, because with that growth mindset, you can be anywhere in your career, anywhere. Another story I can give you about growth mindset. If you watched a movie that is called The Founder, this is something that I'm really inspired by. The Founder. The guy who had invented McDonald's had a fixed mindset. He founded McDonald's. He had a fixed mindset. And what he did was thinking, I am going to open one fast food restaurant, and it's going to be, instead of going to the, back then it's like you had to go and serve in the car. So he said no, they will have to get out of the car and stand on the line and be served for 30 minutes. In less than 30 minutes. Then what happened was, or less than 30 seconds, because it's a fast food. It's something that has to be fast. So this, I think his name was something with K. I forgot his real name. So this guy, he is about 50 something years old. And he saw that this was so fascinating. He was also a salesman. He was selling equipment like blenders, anything related to kitchen. So he saw this restaurant and he was so amazed, and he saw opportunities for growth. He had a growth mindset. He walked in to them and he said, listen, you have an opportunity. And that vision that he saw was to have from coast to coast restaurants just like that, anywhere to serve American foods. But the founder said, no, we are not looking for that. We are not interested. We are comfortable as is. We tried it before. It's not going to work. So their fixed mindset gave all these negative voices, like I said in the beginning of the show. And the other guy, let's call him K, he said, no, there is opportunities, and I'm going to prove it to you. He really tried the challenge. Even though he was running out of funds, he went to speak. He was a great speaker, so he used that power. He went to speak anywhere and recruit people to buy the restaurants and open up. They had to, it's like franchise. And he recruited people, and he realized with this kind of price to sell, it's really, yes, he has clients, but rent is high. The other costs are high. So he couldn't really cover all the costs. And someone else just in the bank, he was telling him, listen, I heard your conversation with the banker. You were very frustrated about not having enough money. Let's just have a real estate. You are in the real estate business, not in a restaurant business. Just sell lands. From that point, he just grew his finances. But he didn't give up. He didn't say, and he says in the movie, he says, at the age of 59, people are thinking of retiring. But I wasn't like them. I was thinking of still growing and learning. This is something that he really inspires, not to think, okay, I'm too old to do anything, too old to become a millionaire, too old to advance myself in the career. And I've seen a lot. Even at work, people just say, like, come to me, I am 63. Nobody's going to hire me. That's a fixed mindset. It's not true. I tell, like, listen, the president, Trump, right? He is 70-something years old. He could have said, I'm retiring. I really don't need this. I don't need to become a president. I am 70 years old. Who needs me? He didn't say that. In contrast, what he did, he was fighting to get that position. He was inspired, and he is inspiring everybody. Whoever doesn't see it has a fixed mindset. Whoever is seeing it has a growth mindset. So he said, I'd rather become a president at age 70, 72, 73, I don't know. But this is something that you should always be inspired. Think about the growth mindset. Doesn't matter what challenge is. Think about how to overcome this challenge. Be always positive. Don't think negative. At work, no matter what people will say, people can tell you have, even all of these famous people, even Arnold Schwarzenegger said, when he came to America, as he says, he came to America, he wanted to be an actor, but he was a fitness guy. So when he said, everybody would tell him, you have like he would go to auditions, they would tell him, you have a heavy accent, you have too many muscles, you're too tall, or you are not good enough. He did not have a fixed mindset. He could have said, okay, you're right, it's not meant for me. I have so many challenges and obstacles, maybe because that's what God wants me to, gives me a message to stop and not go for it. He didn't say that. He said, no, I'm going to take classes. I'm going to take classes for reducing my accent. I'm going to do whatever it takes in order for me to grow and be whatever I want to be. I want to be an actor. So I found this video on what Arnold Schwarzenegger is saying, and it's a 6-minute video, and he is really inspiring in his speech. And listen to it.
People ask me all the time, what is the secret to success? And I always tell them, what the short version is, you got to have a 22-inch biceps. And you got to be able to kill predators with your bare hands. And of course, you got to have this charming Austrian accent. That's a given. The long version is that I actually always had 5 rules. You don't need to be a bodybuilding champion. You don't need to want to be an action hero or anything like that. If you want to excel in whatever you do, those rules are for you. So my first rule is find your vision and follow it. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a vision, you just drift around. You're not going to be happy. I grew up after the Second World War. Austria, right along with Germany, lost the Second World War. There was, of course, depression. There was a terrible economic situation. I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to escape. And luckily, one day in school, I watched a documentary about America. I knew exactly that is where I wanted to end up. The question was just, how do I get there? How do I get to America? No one had the money to travel or anything. But one day, I was fortunate enough to see a bodybuilding magazine. And on the cover was this very muscular guy. Mr. Universe becomes Hercules star. His name was Reg Park. I read the article as fast as I could, learning about how he grew up in Leeds in England, poor, and how he trained 5 hours a day, every single day, and trained and trained and trained. Then he finally became Mr. Great Britain. And then became Mr. Universe. And then he won a second Mr. Universe title and a third Mr. Universe title. And then all of a sudden he landed in Rome in Cinecittà doing Hercules movies. And as I read, I became more and more certain. I had that vision very clearly laid out. To be a champion on that same stage where he won the Mr. Universe. And then to move to America, then get into movies. From that moment on, everything that I did, no matter how hard I had to work or how much I had to struggle, it didn't matter because I knew what the purpose was and I found my passion. Always discover your vision and the rest will follow. Now my second rule is never ever think small. You have to go and shoot for the stars. I didn't just think about being in movies. No, I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to have a BAFTA title billing. I wanted to become the highest paid entertainer. I basically wanted to be another John Wayne. What's wrong with that? Never think small. Think big. My third rule is ignore the naysayers. I think it is natural that when you have a big vision and big dreams and you have big goals that people are going to say around you, I don't think it can be done. I think it's impossible. I mean, it started right away when I was 15 years old and I became a bodybuilder. Right after that, when I said, I want to be a world champion in bodybuilding, I want to be Mr. Universe. They immediately said, are you crazy? Bodybuilding is an American sport. Forget about it. It's nuts. And then when I wanted to go into show business, after I won 13 world championship titles in bodybuilding, I said, I want to be like Reg Park. I want to be a Hercules. I want to get into movies. Well, I tell you, when I met those agents and managers, their reaction was, oh, Arnold, that is so funny. You want to be what, a leading man? Oh, come on. I mean, look, first of all, let's start with your body. You're gigantic. You're like a monster. And then your accent, oh, it gives me the chills just listening to your German bullshit. Come on now. Have you ever seen an international movie star with a German accent? It doesn't happen. Forget about that. And then your name, what is it, Schwarzen, Schnitzel or something like that? People are going to storm the theater and the movie houses because Schwarzen Schnitzel is starring in a movie. Oh yeah, I can see that already. Imagine that. Everywhere I turned, they said, no, it won't happen, it's not going to happen, and forget about it. Luckily, I did not listen. I started taking acting classes, English classes, even accent removal classes. I ran around all day saying lines like, a fine wine grows on a vine. All of a sudden, I got a little break. All of a sudden, I got a TV show. A little part, then another little part, and then Pumping On and Stay Hungry, and then, of course, I landed the big role of Conan the Barbarian. So finally, I got the big break. And you know what was so interesting about it was the director said at the press conference, if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger with those muscles, we would have had to build one. And then when I did Terminator, James Cameron said the I'll be backline became one of the most famous movie lines in history because of Arnold's crazy accent, because he sounded like a machine. So as you see, everything that the naysayers said was a liability became an asset. Ignore the naysayers. The fourth rule is work your ass off. You never want to fail because you didn't work hard enough. It doesn't matter in what area you're in. No pain, no gain. Listen, when I came to the United States, I remember that I trained 5 hours a day, every day, and I was managing a construction business, and I was a bricklayer, and I went to college also, and I took acting classes from 8 o'clock at night to 12 o'clock midnight. Every day I did that. Work your butt off. That's what I always believe. No matter what you do, work, work, work. My fifth and last rule is don't just take. Give something back. Tear down that mirror that makes you always look at yourself. And you will be able to look beyond that mirror, and you will see the millions and millions of people that need your help. And this is why I tried to take every opportunity that I could to give something back. I started training Special Olympians. I started after-school programs for the most vulnerable children, for inner-city children, to make them be able to say no to drugs, no to gangs, and no to violence. We all can create change, whether it is in our neighborhood or in our local schools, because the bottom line is, it is up to us. Have a vision. Think big. Ignore the naysayers. Work your ass off and give back and change the world. Because if not us, who? If not now, when?
This video was from Goldcast, and it's really, as you see, it's really inspiring. So I hope that with this show, we're coming to the end, that you are inspired to change your mindset from fixed to growth mindset. And I would hope to hear from you. Please, you have to let me know on Facebook, Let's Talk Careers with Sara, and on my email, letstalkcareerswithsara@gmail.com. I'm going to see you next week, Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time.